Now, in the last of a series of debates, presidential candidates UDA's William Ruto and Agano's David Mwaure faced the nation in making their best case as to why they should be voted for on the 9th of August. The debates come in 13 days before the polls. Root Party presidential candidate Professor George Wajackoyah and Azimio's Raila Odinga were a no-show for the debates. Mwaure tonight insisting that he is the best among the four to lead the country, promising to fight corruption if elected. Deputy President William Ruto, who has claimed his closest competitor skipped the debates because he did not have an agenda for Kenya, was put to task on the Jubilee administration's failed Galana Kulalu project, the regime's disobedience of court orders, the Aurora and Mwaure Dam scandal, among others. Tonight, Deputy President also saying his influence in the current regime is limited. Good evening. I'm Abubakar Abdullahi, and Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. Let's get to some of the stories that are emanating from that presidential debate. Now, Deputy President William Ruto has told off his closest competitor, Raila Odinga, for not showing up for the presidential debate. Ruto claimed that Raila cannot articulate his plan for Kenya. Take a look.
Do you sincerely believe that that is the reason why he's not here? I don't think so. I don't think so. My competitor is not here because he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have an agenda. He cannot articulate anything to the people of Kenya. That's why he's not here. Secondly, my competitor is not here because he doesn't want to answer difficult questions. You know, he's been part of this administration, the handshake administration, for the last 5 years. KEMSA happened, and many other things happened. In fact, my competitor could not come here because he's not the real candidate. He's a...
Now, if elected president, Deputy President William Ruto has claimed that the Mwaure and Aurora projects were politically halted, and he will take action to make sure those projects are revived. Take a look.
For your information, Aurora and Mwaure were signed at the same time with other government projects, signed by the same companies, funded by the same financiers, and they were signed not with me, witnessed by the President of Kenya. So these are not projects that were cooked at night or in some dark corner, right? How come that the only projects that did not go through is Aurora and Mwaure? All the others went through. That's number one. Number two, today, the government of Kenya is in court because the contractor, with all those allegations that have been made, the contractor has gone to court to demand payment of another 12 billion shillings. About the court matter here, the contractors are in court in London, and the government of Kenya is already replying to the case in court, and they cannot afford to make it public because it's embarrassing. Why did the contractor not continue with the project? Because he was denied the land where to set up the dam. And that was an undertaking by the government of Kenya, that we're giving you a contract, we're going to give you land, we're going to give you this infrastructure for you to carry out, for you to build the dam. And the reason given then was that, the dam was going to be in a forest. How many dams are in the forest? We have Yamo Dam in the forest. We have many other dams in the forest. So I think, we have to be honest with ourselves. And that's why I am looking forward to the day somebody will step forward and actually tell the country how will the government of Kenya lose 20 billion shillings that was supposed to build Aurora and Mwaure, and yet there is nothing on the ground. What was this?
Now, the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto says he will remove the value addition tax on fuel, which will help in reducing the cost of living. Ruto further questioned the removal of the fertilizer subsidy, saying it contributed to the spike in prices of maize flour. Ruto was speaking during the presidential debate held at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa.
What do you think is the solution to the rising cost of fuel, which, as you know, drives the cost of a number of other products?
I think the first thing that we need to do is to look at the taxes, because 50% almost of the cost of fuel in Kenya is taxes. I think it's time, as a country, we looked at, I think there are 15 different taxes on fuel. And I think it's time we relooked at how else do we raise revenue.
Which taxes would you be proposing to remove from fuel, the cost of fuel?
I think majority of the taxes that are in that bracket, I think there are almost 15 different taxes that are there. I do not have the specifics, but those 15, I think we need to interrogate these 15 different taxes. Which ones can we put aside so that, like other countries, we can limit the taxation on fuel? Take, for example,
let me
VAT.
ask, yeah, let me yes, okay,
take,
carry
for
on.
example, VAT.
Correct.
I think we need to rethink taxation, VAT taxation on fuel. That was the latest inclusion of taxes on fuel. We should be net exporters of maize, for example, but we are not. And the reason why we are not is because our agricultural sector is undercapitalized. We have removed the support that farmers always had. And that is why, for the first time, because of the things we didn't do, because of the removal of the fertilizer subsidy, for the first time, the price of unga has gone to 230. In 2017, it was specifically because of drought. And for your information, the prices of flour, maize flour, went to 140. It didn't go to 230. That's the whole difference.
Now, with less than 13 days remaining to the August general polls, Ruto has said that he is confident with IEBC and ready for the outcome of the election, provided it's free and fair. He also said that in case of a mischief in the polls, he will move to the courts.
Accepting the outcome of the election includes going to court if you have an issue with the results. That's accepting the outcome of the election. Okay, you say my competitor has won. I have a doubt, and I will go to court. Why I made that deliberate statement is because we have had a situation in Kenya where every other election we foment a crisis around refusing to accept the outcome of election. And it has cost us lives, property, and many other things. And I needed to be on record, and which I am, that I will accept the outcome of this election.
Well, still on matters presidential debates, and Ghana presidential candidate David Mwaure Wahiga was also present in the presidential debate in what has been a significant platform for him to expound on his manifesto and public policy proposals to the Kenyan electorate. Paul Muniu with the report.
Despite the decision by the Roots Party candidate George Luchiri Wajakoya not to take part in the presidential debate, presidential hopeful David Mwaure stepped up ready to popularize his candidature to the voting public by diving into his government plans to address issues ailing the country. Mwaure was challenged on matters of economy, corruption, employment, education, food security and climate change.
Thank you so much. And
he said that corruption has been rife and has affected the Kenyan economy, and money being stashed outside the country be recovered to caution Kenyans from the high cost of living.
59 years after independence, we can't continue being a nation of begging. Corruption has been a big problem. Bureaucracy has been the other problem. Very high taxation, particularly the corporate tax, has been a problem in Kenya. We've got to think twice. Yes, of course, I mentioned the key one is being corruption.
He has promised to be the most suitable candidate by becoming the new face of politics, distancing himself from empty promises and corruption.
The only thing that will move us forward is complete change from the top to the bottom. And what is permanent is only change, as they say. I've not been part of them. I'm not involved. I'm not part of that. The promises they are giving you are promises that they have given before. We had them in 2017. We had them in 2013. We had them in 1997, in 2007. And the question that you Kenyans, you must be asking, like I'm asking, what is the difference now?
Agano Party has also promised to bring down the cost of living through both short and long-term solutions by giving out food subsidies, waiving away tax penalties, reduce pay by at least 50% to spur the Kenyan economy and make reforms that will recover trillions of money held outside the country, further threatening to cut off diplomat ties with nations that are not willing to give back the looted cash.
We have said we shall introduce subsidies into other food products. That's number one. Number two, we have also said that we are going to reduce pay by 50% so that Kenyans can have money they can take home with. And that is something that will benefit about 16, 17 million Kenya shillings. If you are earning about 25,000, you'll be able to take an extra 1,000. If you are earning about 35, 40, that's another 4,000. We have also come and said to spur growth, throw some money into the economy, we shall waive away tax penalties that are accrued after the day we are sworn.
On food security and climate change, Mwaure promised to ensure food security by supporting the agricultural sector through injecting money, exploring the market and giving out subsidies to cut off the food production costs.
We have talked about the preservation of our rivers. We've talked about injecting money. We've talked about bringing subsidies that enable farmers to produce fertilizer. We've talked about that. We've talked about exploring markets. We've talked about getting Kenya to where it was in terms of agriculture. You know what? We are not short of studies. We are not short of, as a nation, of projects that have come into being.
Paul Munio, TV 47.
Now, Roots Party presidential candidate Professor George Wajackoyah abstained from the presidential debate after the presidential debate secretariat refused to heed to his call to have all the 4 presidential candidates put to test on the same stage. Wajackoyah, who had appeared at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa a moment before the debate, accused the media of bias.
I am not going to unless we are 4.
Despite insisting that he would not be part of the presidential debate if all candidates were not put on the same stage to explain their manifestos to Kenyans, the Roots Party presidential candidate made a surprise move when he showed up at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, the venue where the debate was being held shortly before 5 p.m. Wajackoyah, while speaking to journalists, said he was conducting a reconnaissance to establish whether or not the other presidential candidates would show up. He was adamant that he would not be part of the debate for alleged media bias towards certain candidates.
I am not attending unless we are 4. That's why I've come to confirm, because this thing is too far, sorry. Because they never responded to my letter, and if the media wants to corrupt
tumalize na siasa,
hii si story ya kuja sahi. Run corruption in this country.
Ndio nakwambia haina shida, tumalize na siasa, twende Martha.
When the debate kicked off, Wajackoyah was nowhere to be seen. He left moments after sticking to his words that he would not participate if he was not going to debate UDA presidential candidate William Ruto and Azimio la Umoja flag bearer Raila Odinga on the same platform. Wajackoyah would later issue a press statement in his office accusing media of bias, belittlement, and looking down on him. Wajackoyah said he and his party were being classified as others.
na sisi kama wana roots tumejitoa katika hii debate, maanake tumeona kuna ukabila huko ndani ya discrimination. Tuliwaandikia barua kuuliza kwamba kwa nini hatuwezi kuwa 4, kwa maana nchi zote za Ulaya, Britain, Canada, Vancouver, everywhere, hata US, kwamba watu wanafanya wote katika podi moja, ndio Wakenya waamue, wamwone mtu vile anaangalia, waone macho yake, waone mwili wake, body language, what have you. Tulipoandikia barua hawakutujibu, tukaandikia barua nyingine leo hawakutujibu. Sasa wanataka kutuchukua tu kama watu wengine, na zile pesa ambazo wametumia ni taxpayers, public money.
Wajakoya claimed he wrote 2 letters to the presidential debate secretariat, but he got no feedback. Together with his running mate, Justina Wamae, they said they respect Kenyans, asking them not to lose faith in them. They as well promised to carry out their campaigns throughout the country.
We respect you, our voters, our supporters, and campaigns will continue as we have been doing. So please don't lose faith in us, because tuko kwa debe mpaka mwisho.
Follow us as it is. We hit Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret, and we shall be in Mombasa this week before we go to Isiolo and Marsabit.
Chama iko imara.
Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, away from the debates, let's get to political stories. And Azimio la Umoja flag bearer Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua pitched tent in Meru County today. Raila and Martha received blessings from the Njuri Ncheke elders ahead of the August polls. Take a look.
Days after Azimio flag bearer Raila Odinga pulled out of this year's presidential debate, he continued with his campaigns ahead of the August 9th general election in Meru County. Raila was accompanied by his running mate Martha Karua, received blessings from Njuri Ncheke elders while optimistic of becoming the 5th president of Kenya.
Tarehe 10 utakuwa umetangazwa president. Kwa hivyo ningetaka ukuje hapa nikuweka mkono kwa niaba ya hao wote wa Njuri Ncheke ili nikubariki uende ukiwa umebarikiwa.
Mmetubariki, tumefurahia. Tunahitaji watu wa kutushikilia kwa nyadhifa mbalimbali.
Siku ya leo wewe ndio utakuwa rais wetu wa 5 wa taifa letu la Kenya. Naibu wako atakuwa Martha Karua.
Raila, while addressing Meru residents at Kianjai and Mailitatu, affirmed that he can't debate with the Deputy President William Ruto, alleging he is not clean.
Anasema tio baba naogopa debate nini? Hapana. Mimi siwenda kwenda kufanya debate na mwizi.
Sisi tunataka kuambia wakina Ruto na wakina Gachagua wawache kupigana na DCI Kinoti. Kinoti anafanya kazi yake na ataendelea kufanya kazi yake, na wezi wafanye wapi wakamate wote si namna hiyo.
Raila, who is eyeing the presidency for the 5th time, promised to unite the country and grow the struggling economy if elected in the August elections.
Ndani ya siku 100 baada ya mimi kubeba Biblia, hiyo itakuwa imekwisha hiyo. Itakuwa ndege inatoka hapo moja kwa moja hadi wapi? Mogadishu. Nyingine kutoka hapo mpaka huko Kinshasa. Sawa? Kwa hivyo sasa tumepata suluhu ya hii biashara ya miraa.
Odinga was accompanied by other leaders, including Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi and Agriculture CS Peter Munya, who have been rivals for some time now.
Mwezi wa 8 itakuwa ni baba, mama na mamba, yani crocodile, Kiraitu Murungi. Hiyo story imeisha. Hiyo story imefanya nini? Imeisha.
Wanasema dalili ya mvua ni mawingu. Tunaona wewe unaingia ukiwa na Martha Karua. Hata mimi naingia hapa. Mimi ndio nitakuwa gavana wa Azimio hapa Meru.
Kianjai hey! Mama hai!
Joash Onsare, TV47.
Thank you, Josh Onsare, for that report. Elsewhere, Kenya Kwanza presidential running mate Rigathi Gachagua intensified the Alliance's vote hunt mission in Narok County on Tuesday in a bid to solidify their support in the Mwaure region. Kenya Kwanza core principal Musalia Mudavadi also used the better part of his second-day tour of the Western region campaigns in Vihiga County to urge his backyard to rally behind Deputy President William Ruto's State House bid. Mike Kagwongo tells us more.
Speaking during a rally in Majengo area in Narok town, Gachagua said their plan as Kenya Kwanza was to win with a big margin the first round in the August 9th general election.
Kusumbua Kibaki tutakusamehe. Kukataa kutoa sadaka kanisani tutakusamehe. Kusumbua Uhuru Kenyatta tutakusamehe. Kuleta fujo Kenya tutakusamehe. Lakini hatutasamehe wewe kuroga mtoto wetu Uhuru Kenyatta.
Gachagua, who was accompanied by Narok UDA leaders led by UDA senatorial candidate Samuel Ole Tunai, asked Narok residents to vote in leaders with a vision and who will continue the agenda of this country's unity.
Hakuna njia yote. Wewe kitendawili tutakufundisha adabu tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 tukusafirisha mpaka Mombasa. Tunai alichaguliwa kwa msingi ya kuleta makabila zote.
With only 13 days to the August 9th general elections, the Kenya Kwanza Brigade members promised to fulfill their manifesto if Kenyans give them the opportunity, while calling out their opponents for what they termed as their fake promises. In Vihiga County, Musalia Mudavadi promised to improve the economic structures in the country, improve the agriculture sector, as well as liberate Kenyans from the high cost of living.
Mumesikia jana Uhuru ameweka sherehe ya kusema kwaheri kwa wafanyikazi wa State House. Amewaandalia karamu ya kusema yake imefanya nini? Yake imefanya nini?
Musalia was accompanied by Kakamega gubernatorial candidate Cleophas Malala, Sabatia constituency legislator Alfred Agoi, and a host of other Western region leaders.
Haja yetu sasa itakuwa kuona kwamba wamama tukipata uongozi hawatakuwa kwenda kwa mtoni tena. Kila boma lazima ikuwe na maji ya mfereji kwa boma.
Maendeleo itakuwa double. Vijana wetu watakuwa empowered, wamama watakuwa empowered, wazee watakuwa empowered.
Sisi hatutaingilia, tutaacha nyinyi ndio mnajua viongozi gani hapa chini wako sawa. Nyinyi ndio mnajua MCA gani ni mzuri, nyinyi ndio mnajua mbunge gani ni mzuri. Hiyo tutawaachia nyinyi mchague, lakini mpatie Musalia Mudavadi na William Ruto nguvu wakuwe na wabunge wa kutosha, si ndio?
Mike Kagwongo, TV 47.
Tonight, IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has moved into allay fears of rigging in next month's general election following the confiscation of election materials by detectives from 3 Venezuelan nationals. Chebukati, in a statement, termed the stickers as non-strategic materials procured legally to assist in the labeling of the Kenya Integrated Management System KIMS kit to be dispatched to all polling stations. This, as the fate of the 3 foreign nationals remains unknown. Our senior political affairs reporter Apollo Kamau has the details.
Hours before IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati receives presidential ballot papers at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Wednesday, Chebukati has broken the silence on the confusion surrounding the stickers seized by detectives from 3 Venezuelan nationals, allaying fears they were part of a scheme to rig next month's general election, as pressure mounts on the commission to deliver a credible poll.
Wanaleta zinyo kutoka Venezuela, wanabeba vitu vyao. Jana nilizungumza Voi, nikasema swala hilo liangaziwe kwa haraka sana, ndio watu wa Kenya wakienda kupiga kura wajua kuna ulaghai. Kama kuna mtu mwizi anahusika na ambaye ashikwe ashikwe, hata kama yeye ni candidate. Unanielewa?
Police must take a firm position to inform Kenyans on what is happening and why those people are being arrested. And the government should not be twisting and changing goals from here to here.
Chebukati, in a statement, refuted a statement by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti, that the 3 foreigners were not contracted by IEBC or Smartmatic International Holdings. Chebukati, in his statement, says according to the tender document, Smartmatic was allowed to have a local partner who is now in the limelight as Abdullahi Mohammed, the CEO of Seamless Limited, Smartmatic's local agent, who the 3 foreigners were destined to meet before they were arrested by detectives.
Hata wapange mpako gani, sisi tutashinda ala, Raila Amolo Odinga atashinda William Ruto amesema namna hii. Ati yeye akiwa rais atadeal na watu kama kina Kinoti. Mimi nataka nimuulize William Ruto, nani alikuambia yeye utakuwa rais? Nani alikuambia yeye utakuwa rais?
Chebukati further sheds light on the stickers held by the foreigners, terming them as legally procured, according to a Gazette notice dated July 1st, 2022, and which were meant to assist in the identification of the KM's kits for purposes of packaging and dispatching to all the 46,229 polling stations.
We must have trust in our institutions and entities. What we need is to help them deliver their mandate. And I want to believe that is what they are working towards. We have raised our concern and we believe they will be addressed.
According to Chebukati, the Commission has 55,100 KM's kits in good working condition, supplied by Smartmatic from the initial figure of 45,000 kits, 41,000 of them in good working condition. Apul Kamar, TV47.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
The new mobile money service imefika. Vumani wallet.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent. I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring
whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku mwishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader.
Not just is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
Watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Kenya's fastest growing television. Let's get to more news now. And Muslim leaders have come out to condemn Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha's comment against a Muslim journalist during a press conference. According to the leaders, the Education CS remarks are tantamount to hate speech and extremism. The leaders are now calling on the NCIC and the Media Council of Kenya and the President to take action against Education CS. In the viral video that has made rounds on social media showing Magoha asking a female Muslim journalist to identify herself and explain whether or not she is representing the militia extremist group Al-Shabaab.
Muslims in this country are gravely concerned by the profiling of a Muslim female reporter by the CS of Education, Professor George Magoha bin Magoha, the way he called himself. In this unfortunate incident, captured and broadcast on video, the CS is seen targeting, discriminating, and verbally attacking the young Muslim lady, journalist, on the basis of her religion and referring to her as representing a terrorist organization. The consequences of this profiling, especially from a leader of this stature, are to undermine the constitutional and human rights to religion, human dignity, and press freedom. This also undercuts efforts to eradicate violent extremism, one of the greatest security threats to this country. It exposes this lady and all Muslim girls and women to greater danger.
My attire as a Muslim woman is not ethnicity. It's because of my religion. Sisi kama wanawake wa Kiislamu tunahitaji hii nchi itujue kama sisi ni nani. We as Muslim women, we work in every part and every section of this country. We contribute in this country. And for that young lady who is a journalist to be accused like that just because of wearing her hijab and to be
Elsewhere, President Uhuru Kenyatta has hit out at his deputy William Ruto for what he said was lying to the public about the transfer of port services from Mombasa to Naivasha. According to the president, the port was transferred because of the geothermal energy in the area that grants the country cheap power. DP Ruto is on record blaming the handshake between the president and ODM leader Raila Odinga, who, according to Ruto, conspired to transfer the port services. Chepto Boit with the details.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has for the first time responded to Deputy President William Ruto's remarks over the Mombasa port and the railway line to Naivasha. According to the Commander-in-Chief, DP Ruto should stop lying to the public, yet he is also in the same government. President Kenyatta has reiterated that the port was moved to Naivasha because of its strategic location and the geothermal energy from the area that grants Kenya cheap power.
It is, however, important for us to once again reflect on why we chose Naivasha. This has been a question that has caused a lot of empty talk over the last year, more so during this period of politics.
DP Ruto has in the past continuously hit out at President Kenyatta and Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga for what he calls conspiring to move the port from Mombasa to Naivasha. According to the UDA presidential hopeful, the transfer of the port services took place after the 2018 handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga.
There is evidence throughout the world that industrial revolutions are dependent on two critical factors. The first is the convenient access to and availability of raw materials and markets. And the second is the availability of inexpensive and reliable energy supply. Access to affordable and reliable power supply is the most consequential ingredient to manufacturing, and it is the first box we have had to tick to attract the magnitude of investment we are about to witness here in Naivasha.
However, both Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto have promised to restore the port services to Mombasa if elected to the country's topmost seat. Chepto Boit, TV 47.
Now, the modern coast bus accident at the Nithi Bridge on Sunday that left 35 people dead, leaving 10 sustaining serious injuries and 5 missing happened at a notorious black spot along the Meru-Embu-Nairobi highway that has previously claimed tens of lives, with the recent national statistics from the National Transport and Safety Authority indicating a surge in road accidents along Kenyan roads, which indicates that so far 2,000 people have lost their lives on Kenyan roads from January of this year. Moiga William has the details.
All motorists using this road to exercise caution as they approach the Nithi Bridge, because this is a black spot and we have warning signs.
Evans Achoki, Eastern Regional Commissioner, and if his sentiments are anything to go by, then it tells you how dangerous Nithi Bridge is and well known to motorists plying the Meru-Embu-Nairobi route, claiming tens of lives if not hundreds.
Kuna trela ingine iliteremkia hapo ikiwa na simiti na iliua. Ikaokotwa tu makaratasi pika kama hii.
Tusaidie. Sasa vile tunaona miaka 2-3 kupoteza. Mbuzi imeenda. Nini imeenda kwa mto? Imekula na mto. Sasa tutafanya namna gani?
Ni watu wengi wame lose life. Wengi. Si watoto wale wazee, hata wadogo wamekupia hapa Nithi Bridge.
There is an ongoing rescue operation in search of 5 missing persons after the modern coast bus bound for Mombasa plunged into Nithi River 40 meters below on Sunday. This is not an isolated incident along the dreaded road section along the highway. In 2021, 5 people succumbed at the same spot, with 4 surviving. Along the same section of the highway in 2019, 4 people lost their lives as 11 cheated death but sustained serious injuries after a 14-seater matatu collided with the lorry ferrying building blocks. According to statistics earlier released by the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) in the month of June, about 2,000 people have died on Kenyan roads since January this year, which is a 9.1% increase compared to the same period in 2021. With an increase in fatal accidents along the Kenyan roads, motorists have been urged to exercise caution during this campaign period, with residents of Tharaka Nithi County calling for the expansion of the Nithi Bridge. Mwaure William, TV 47.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has asked school heads against sending home learners over school fee arrears. Speaking during the inspection of the second phase construction of CBC classrooms, the CS noted that the government has already released 16.9 billion shillings to both primary and secondary schools. Andrin Kilemi reports.
Speaking after inspecting the ongoing construction of CBC classrooms at Hospital Hill High School, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha directed all school heads not to send learners home due to school fees arrears.
I'm aware that in Nyandarua, there has been a massive removal of children from schools. Those children must go back to school immediately.
The education boss further noted that so far the government had released 16.9 billion to schools, with 14.2 billion shillings directed to secondary schools, and the remaining 2.7 billion shillings directed to primary schools.
Why are we starting to send children home? Let us be sensitive to our parents, and please do not send children home, those who are in boarding schools. Give them time, because even the month has not ended. Those who have not paid full fees, you can engage their parents and ensure that children are taken back to school.
According to Magoha, the government is doing extremely well with the construction of CBC classrooms, saying that the remaining 3,500 CBC classrooms will be completed before the general election next month.
We are doing extremely well with the CBC classrooms. Our construction time has reduced by 1 week. I think we are now able to construct a 4-cornered classroom within 2.5 weeks. We are doing extremely well because there are some places in the country where I'm going to commission as many as 45 classrooms in the next few days. And we are now very focused in terms of assuring the general public that the balance of the 3,500 classrooms should actually be complete just before a day or so before election. And if there's a spillover, it will be an insignificant spillover.
Earlier, the CS had assured Kenyans that the construction of the 10,000 classrooms would be complete by July. According to Professor Magoha, Nyanza region is among the counties doing very well in construction of CBC classrooms, while Nairobi and Mombasa are lagging behind. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Elsewhere, a Mombasa court will tomorrow decide on a case where an application was made to exhume the body of a businessman and Verali Nazerail, who was buried 2 months ago at the Shia Cemetery in Vita constituency, Mombasa County. This is after the brother to the deceased moved to court to seek an application for an autopsy to establish the cause of death. Our reporter Patronila Goren reports from the seaside city of Mombasa.
Any dispute that can be resolved by the application of law.
The deceased brother Shakir Awar, a Pakistani national through his counsel Michael Olo, is seeking orders to exhume the body of the deceased for a post-mortem to be carried out to establish the cause of his death 3 months later. The court heard that after the death of the businessman Anvirali Nazerail, the widow took the body to a hospital in Mombasa. The hospital ordered them to report the matter to the nearest police station so that they could accept the body for preservation. According to the police report before the court, the matter was reported to the Central Police Station and ordered the body to be preserved pending a post-mortem, but the family ignored and buried the body.
The truth of the matter is, this application is proper before you. The DCI is not making any sinister move. They have no personal interest in the matter. This is being done pursuant to a complaint. This court has already been informed of an inquest that has been opened. In fact, that post-mortem will assist this court in that inquest file to shut out that kind of evidence will be, in my humble submission, miscarriage of justice.
The bereaved family's counsel Mohamed Balala, representing the late businessman's widow Kiran Nazirali, told the court that there was no need for an autopsy as the businessman had died through natural causes.
The cause of death. It is documented. But the exhumation is to satisfy some morbid curiosity on the part of the brother. And then subsection 3 says, when giving any direction under this section, the Director of Public Prosecution may also direct whether the body is to be disinterred and examined.
Mombasa Senior Resident Magistrate Vincent Adet will give his ruling on whether or not to allow the application for an autopsy to establish the cause of Nazirali's death tomorrow.
It's upon this court's invitation that all the parties felt that they should come on board as it is evident of the subsequent proceedings. It's not in dispute that the late clerk, the counsel appearing for the interested parties, a family member of the deceased. This one is indicated as a mission, and I've also gone through the application I've seen. He actually falls within the purview of section 329A of the CPC.
Patronila Goren for TV47 in Mombasa County.
Thank you, Patronila Goren, for that report. That brings us to the end of tonight's edition of TV47 News Tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Abubakar Abdullahi on behalf of the entire team that made this production possible. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of our programs tonight of all nights. Good night and God bless.